makeup friends. Today we're going to do a chit chat, get ready with me. I've got some new items to play around with in here, so we're going to apply those. I'll share my thoughts on them as we go, and I'll just do a little bit of a life update. Spoiler, keep the bar pretty low. My life is very uneventful. Nonetheless, let's get into this. As always, I want to start off by welcoming you back to my channel, or if you are new here, then hello and welcome. My name is Kara, and on my channel, we like to mix beauty, brains, and the occasional F-bomb. Like I said, we're going to be playing around with a bunch of new makeup products that I have. Some products aren't necessarily new, but I figured out how to make them work for me, so I'm going to share that. And we're just going to create this look. So, no further preamble, let's hop into it. All right, so I don't have a new primer to talk about, so I just used this one here from Rare Beauty. This is the Illuminating Primer, so that's what you see going on here. For foundation, I'm going to go in with this little sample that I have here of the new Tarte. What is this? The Hydro Flex Serum Foundation, and I have it in shade 20N, Light Neutral. So I'm going to give that a little bit of a shake, and then we'll go ahead and apply that. This is a very watery foundation, which I actually quite like because, especially this time of year, I prefer a lighter weight foundation. I don't really want full coverage. I don't want anything heavy. It's warm outside. Well, not today, hence I'm wearing a turtleneck. It's actually quite cold outside today, but welcome to Canada. But typically speaking, yesterday was quite warm, and I would not have wanted to have a really heavy foundation on. Okay, to blend that out, I'm going to use this brush here from Sephora. This is the Slanted Buffing Brush, the number 88. And it's really densely packed, so I find that it just blends things out really easily. All right, so every time I sit down to do one of these get ready with me's, I'm like, what has actually been going on in my life? And typically there's not an awful lot. It's been, I don't know, my emotions, frankly, have been all over the place. Like, on the one hand, I am so stressed out at work, but on the other, like, I'm finally starting to feel a bit of optimism. Like, things are starting to reopen here. We've been able to go and take the kids, eat on a patio at a restaurant. I got to hang out with my best friend on a patio last week. Like, it was so nice to just have that little bit of normality back. And Barrie and I went and got our second dose of the vaccine last week, so we are now fully vaccinated. And that just brings like such peace of mind. Like, it really does. Like, I was sitting there with my best friend, who I have not had the opportunity to even really see, aside from just like quick handoffs of things like in the driveway and stuff. Like, we haven't been able to really spend time together in over a year, and being able to sit at a table with her, share a couple drinks, share some food, and just chat and not feel like I was going to get sick imminently or anything of that sort, like not even really have it enter into my mind, was just so nice. It's like, it's what my heart really needed, especially after the week I had last week. We will briefly get into that. Okay. But it's time for concealer. Okay, I guess I should tell you about the foundation. It's basically already dried down. Like, it's really lightweight. It does have a bit of coverage to it, but nothing extreme. Just kind of evens things out, takes away some of the redness that I have going on around my nose right now. But I can still see like little freckles coming through, especially on my nose. This is the kind of coverage that I really like. And in terms of the finish, I usually get a better sense looking at the viewfinder. I'd say, like, it's not a glowy finish by any stretch, but nor is it really flat. Like, it's just a really realistic looking finish on the skin, and I really like that. I haven't always loved Tarte foundations in the past, but this is one that I could see myself getting on board with. I really do like it. It's not as good as the Watertone from Makeup Forever, in my opinion, but a good option nonetheless. I'm glad I got the little sample. I'm not convinced because I have the Fenty Easy Blur, is that what it's called? That one, and the Watertone from Makeup Forever. I don't need this, so I don't see myself getting the full size anytime soon, but it's the kind of foundation that I really like. So we'll leave it at that. Okay, concealer, I don't have a new one, so I'm just going to go in with the MAC Studio Fix 24 Hour Smooth Wear Concealer. I'm going to apply that off camera. We'll just do the little chatty parts while I'm applying new stuff. I'll be right back. All right, so concealer is applied. I do have a new under eye setting powder, so I picked this one up from Laura Mercier. This is the Secret Brightening Powder for under eyes in the shade 1, and it looks stark white. There we go. Oh, I spilled it. I knew that was going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that using the Delium 788. It's like a little beveled kind of brush. I really like this for under the eyes. And just tap that into place. The only downside to this powder is that if you inhale too quickly after you start patting it under your eyes, it burns your nose like you wouldn't believe. Like yeah, it's not a pleasant feeling. So I kind of have to like exhale as I apply. Otherwise, you feel like you're applying setting powder straight to your brain. Like it just goes straight up there and it hurts. Aside from that, once you get over that particular hurdle, it is quite nice under the eyes. Like you can see, it's pretty much see-through. It does brighten a little bit, but I do find that it actually does help to blur some of those fine lines out as well. So I really do like the finish of it, but it's just the application. I mean, you snort it a couple of times and then you learn pretty quickly not to do that, but there is a little bit of a painful learning curve to this one, unfortunately. Now we're going to go in with blush, and one of my beautiful subscribers sent me this new one here from Lisa Eldridge. This is the Enlivening Blush in the shade Pink Soap. So thank you so much for sending this over. And not only did she send the blush, but she also sent 2 lip products as well. So this is the lip gloss in the shade Affair. And then over here is one of the lipsticks. And this one is in the shade Kitten Mischief, which is just like the cutest little name ever. So we will get to those at the end. But for now, we're going to go in with it's just a little squeeze tube. As you can see, I've just got a little dot here. I'm going to place it where I want it. And then I picked up a new brush. I recently traded in some Shoppers Drug Mart points and got one of the It Cosmetics brushes. This is the Heavenly Luxe French Boutique Blush Brush. It's the number 4. So I'm going to use that to blend this out. It blends really nicely, and it does have nice pigmentation, this blush, but it does sheer out, so you can build it, and I really like that. Like, I would rather have to go in with 2 or 3 applications to build the pigmentation up rather than have something that's like, here's your blush, and then you can't go anywhere with it. So I really like this one, and I love the shade of it. I've also been playing around with blush placement lately. Like, I don't know why, but I've now started bringing it up towards this area and avoiding like the real center of the cheek. I just find that it helps to like lift my face up a little bit. It's funny how we like change our application methods and whatnot. Like it just something new that I've been trying out, and I've really been liking how it looks on the skin. So I keep doing it. There we go. All right, my bronzer and my highlighter today are both powder products, so I'm going to go in and set my face with the Dior Powder No Powder. No Powder Powder? What the hell is this called? What is this called? Powder No Powder. Professional Performance Perfecting Translucent Powder. Natural Radiant Blur Effect All Day Matte Finish. So it's natural, it's radiant, and it's matte. What the fuck, Dior? What are you doing? Okay, anyways, I actually do like this powder, so I'm kind of taking the piss a little bit here. But anyways, let's go ahead and set my face with this. Just gonna tap it into place. So, as I was saying, last week was ridiculous. I just was so ready to quit my job last week. It was awful. It was so stressful. So if you're not aware, I'm a family lawyer by trade, so divorce is kind of my wheelhouse. And I mean, it certainly has its ups and it certainly has its downs, but last week was just so stressful. I had what's called a motion, which is just sort of like a mini trial, basically. So you're basically putting a very small issue in front of a judge and saying, you need to make the decision because we can't agree on this. So it is litigation. And with that always comes risk. So even when you think that you have a bit of a slam dunk case, you just never know what's going to happen. So I was reminded of that last week, unfortunately. Anyways, gonna go in with bronzer. I managed to get my hands on some Kiko Milano items. So excited. I rented a P.O. box in California. So now I can order from sites that only ship to the States because for whatever reason, Ulta no longer ships to Canada and Kiko Milano doesn't ship to Canada either. So I placed an Ulta order and I picked up, amongst other things, this bronzer here. This is the Dolce Diva Baked Bronzer in the shade 1 Special Honey. It's huge. That is a huge pan, but I love the packaging. Like this matte metallic packaging. It's so beautiful. Anyways, this is one of the products that I picked up and I'm very excited to be able to play with some Kiko Milano items. I wanted to try them for a long time and now I finally can. So anyways, back to my story. So I had a motion. So that always causes some stress anyways, because I'm always like, you want to do the best job you can, right? Because at that point, it's all on the lawyers. Like obviously the judge makes the decision, but at a motion, it's for the lawyers to make the arguments. So in our normal court dates, like the ones that I predominantly do, it's called a conference and a judge is there to like hear the issues and to weigh in and give advice on how they think it would be resolved and to just basically guide settlement. It's really settlement focused, whereas at a motion, it's like a trial. Like you're there to present argument, try to convince the judge to rule in your favor, basically. And it doesn't always work out that way. And last week, it did not work out in my client's favor. And I felt horrible for him because the law was on his side, but the particular circumstances of his case allowed the judge to use discretion. And that's always the risk. When you go before a judge for a decision, you just don't know if they're going to use their discretion, and if they do decide to use it, if that's going to work out in your favor. And unfortunately, this time it did not. And because the law was so strongly on my client's side, I took it very personally, like, not like I thought that the judge was like out to get me specifically. It wasn't like that. My confidence was really shook. I was like, how did I lose the unlosable motion? And it's just the particular set of circumstances. And it's just what it comes down to. And so, it took me a day or two to sort of reflect on that and lick my wounds and get over it. And it helps that my client is a very nice person. Like he's a very nice person. And the day after, he was devastated. He was gutted, of course. But the day after he sent me an email and he's like, you know what? The upside is it's done and I can move on. Like the decision is made. We don't have to argue about this anymore. Let's just move forward. So I thought that was like a really mature response to it. And I was really like impressed by him in that sense. Okay. For highlighter, I'm going to use the Odin's Eye Norn Mesmerizer Veil of Future. What? Yes, the Veil of the... Anyways, whatever. It's really pretty. I haven't used this one as a highlighter yet. Focus, focus, focus. There we go. But it's beautiful. Like I love the attention to detail in there. It's so beautiful. All right, so I'm going to apply that. I've not been telling you what brushes I've been using, sorry. This one here is from Wet n Wild. It's the P75. So I was very impressed with his reaction to it. The day of was a whole different ballgame. Him and I were both very put out. So, he wasn't mad at me. He understood what was going on. And I sure as heck, there was no reason for me to be mad at him. I wasn't mad at him at all, but I was just mad at the circumstances. I wasn't mad at the judge. She did a great job. She did what she's supposed to do. Apply the law based on the facts. There it is. obviously wished it had been a different outcome, but it just was one of those, like, it just kind of rocked me. And I've had a lot of that in the last few months where things just have not gone the way that I was hoping, the way that I was frankly expecting. I've had some days where we are in those conferences where the judge is there to sort of guide the settlement discussion, and they start off in the morning saying one thing, and then in the afternoon it's like the complete opposite of what they'd said like 3 hours earlier. And it's been very frustrating. And certainly, doing court remotely by Zoom has its ups, has its downs, but it's not been a great time the last few months. However, on Friday, things did turn around. I had a different conference, and that one did go in my client's favor. And I'm very, very happy for her, because if we can settle it based on the recommendations we received, she's going to be in a very good position. So fingers are crossed. That is a much more gold highlighter than I'm used to, but it's pretty. It's just very gold. But wait for it, because you've heard me complain about this thing here, right? This is the Chantecaille Flower Power Perfect Blur Finishing Powder, which I still don't think it's worth $100. However, I have discovered a way to sort of make it work. So my complaint with this has been all along that it just doesn't make any damn difference whatsoever. However, I have found that if I use it with this brush here from Dior, and then just pick up a little bit and use it in circular motions, kind of buff it into the skin, while I still don't think that it like does anything amazing, I do find that it takes the harsh edge off the highlighter in particular. So you can see how strong it is. And then if I just go in, do a couple little swirls over, it really kind of softens it out. It's still visible, but it just kind of makes it look a bit more natural, a bit more lit from within. So I don't hate this powder anymore. I do think that it can make a pretty impact on the skin, but it's certainly far from a must-have. Like I don't anticipate myself going out and buying it again if I get to the bottom of this, which I intend to. It was $100. I intend to use it until I can't use it anymore. But I am glad that I've figured out a way to make it work. Just softens things up a little bit. I'm less pissy about this product. I'm okay with it now. I just realized I forgot to put earrings in. So we're going to rectify that situation, and then we will move on to eyes. Off camera, I've done my brows, and I have applied the Gerard Cosmetics Clean Canvas Base in medium to prime my eyes. There we go. And then for eyeshadow, we're going to go in with the newest one from Adept Couture. This is the Supreme Bronze Palette. And there's what she looks like in there. And honestly, I'm not sure I'm in love with this. I'm not sure. The pictures, I thought the red and this like gold shade were going to be a bit more vibrant, and they're obviously not. So I've only used it once. I've only used a couple shades. We'll go in, see what we can get out of this, and then I will reserve my judgment until after we've applied it. But initially, I'm just not super jazzed about it. I will say I really like this deep bronzy kind of tone here, so I do want to incorporate that one. Yeah, we'll play. We'll play and we'll see. Also, I'm kind of making a bit of a rookie mistake. I'm drinking my breakfast as we do this. So if there's green specks in my teeth, I apologize. I'm truly hoping that there's not, but they might sneak in there. So if they do, that's what it is. It's the kale. Anyways, let's go in with this palette and see what she brings to the table. Okay, I'm gonna go in with the shade Toasty down here. I'm gonna apply that with a fluffy brush. This is the Delium Tools 785 Tapered Blending Brush. So other than work, I really haven't been up to an awful lot. Although last week, Bennett started at soccer. It's adorable. It's adorable. He's in the under 4. So it's all like 3 and 4-year-olds running around. but it's so well organized. Like he's got two coaches, they're a brother and sister team. They brought in, I think, 4 volunteers from like the under 14 rep team to help. And they had like drills planned in advance and all this kind of stuff. And it's all just based on fun. Like there was no scrimmage or anything of that sort. And Bennett had a blast. I mean, I'm very glad that he did because I was the only one to take him because they had said just like 1 parent per child. And he's very opinionated, shall we say. He doesn't always bend to conformity, if that makes sense. He has his own ideas of what he likes and what he doesn't like, and he will let you know his feelings. And so I've been talking up soccer a few days in advance to him just to like keep it from being a big shock to his system. I was like, buddy, you're going to have fun. I promise. Just give it a try. You're going to have fun. He's like, okay, mommy, I'll try it, but I'm going to hate it just a little bit. Okay, as long as you try it, that is fine. So on the drive to the field, I'm saying to him, okay, Bennett, let's remember there's 2 rules. Do you remember what those rules are? And of course he's like, huh, what? And I was like, you have to listen. You have to have fun. Those are the 2 rules. And he says, well, mommy, I think there's a 3rd rule. No crying. I'm like, that is an excellent rule. Okay, we've got 3 rules. And he's like, no, mommy, there's another rule. You have to hug me at the end. All right, I will abide by that rule. He was just so cute. And he kept adding, you have to give me kisses. You have to give me high fives. You have to snuggles. I'm like, you're so cute. So we get there. And of course, he has a blast. And at one point, they're all in a row taking turns kicking the ball into the net. And his coach is like, okay, Bennett, it's your turn. He turns to his coach. He's like, okay, but first I have to give my mommy a hug. And he like runs off the field and just like barrels into me. He's so sweet. I love this age. All right, so that blends out quite nicely. I'm going to deepen up the crease a bit. Which shade am I going to do that with? We're going to go in with Baked, this deep brown here. And I'm going to apply that with a MAC 217 brush. So that's been a fun little thing. And I'm just so grateful that we're getting back to a little bit of normality where we can do these outdoor activities. And Aspen's been kind of resistant to like organized sports. So I'm really hoping that the pools will open up soon so I can put her into swimming lessons. Frankly, put both kids into swimming lessons, but she would do swimming like every day of the week. And she just loves it so much. So I'm really hoping that will open up soon. I'm thinking maybe another month or so, just based on what the projected like reopening plans are. So fingers are crossed. But we do have some camping trips and whatnot planned this summer, and we will get to swim at the beaches there. And then we live in a city that has like quite the waterfront, so I can take her to the beach anytime and take her swimming there as well. So that is what I'm going to do. In June, the water's still a little icy. Even though it might be really hot outside, the water itself doesn't warm up until like mid-July. So I'm going to hold off for a few more weeks, and then we will take advantage of this beautiful city that we live in. I love where we live. We're about an hour north of Toronto, but we're also like an hour south of like true cottage country. So we kind of like stride the line of both, and we have like access to the best of both worlds. And it's a beautiful city where we live. So I'm really, really happy here. And like I said, we have a gorgeous waterfront, a huge park down there, lots of beach area. And I'm looking forward to taking advantage of that this summer. This shade is working out nicely too. I'm going to do it on this eye, and then I'll come back for the next step. All right, so I've finished up this eye and also ran that same shade underneath the lower lash line. So now I'm ready to go on to the lid, and I am going to use that bronzy shade here. It is called Gilded, And I'm going to apply it with this brush here. I don't know what it's actually called. It's from Lottie London, but it's just a flat shader brush. So I'm just going to pick some of that shade up. And I'm not going to take it all the way over to the inner corner, but, well, you can see the placement here. This is where I'm going to keep it. It's a pretty color. I like that. I might try punching it up with a little bit of setting spray though. Yeah, I'm going to try punching it up with some setting spray just to see how much more intense we can get it. That shade alone might change my mind on this palette. So you can see it without the setting spray and then with. It's not a huge difference, but definitely more metallic with the shedding spray. Good Lord, setting spray. Whew, okay, I like that shade. Okay, for the inner corner, I am going to go in with this lightest gold shade here. This is called Soleil. And I'm going to pick up another flat shader brush. It's just smaller. This one's from BH Cosmetics. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go in with it dry and then punch it up with some setting spray. Oof. So we have the 2 camping trips booked. Yeah, definitely going to need setting spray. But we're also really hoping that interprovincial travel is going to be available, because we would like to get out to Nova Scotia this summer and visit with Barrie's family. We haven't seen them in a few years. We were going to go last year, but last year was last year. So we haven't had a chance to do that. But we've also been thinking, maybe not this summer, but maybe in the fall or like next spring, that it would be cool to like drive to Nova Scotia with the kids, spend a couple of days, leave the kids with the grandparents, aunts, uncles. They have a million cousins out there. Like, it's a huge family. Barrie and I could go do some sort of travel something or other and then come back and spend a few more days. And I think the kids would have a blast. We talked about this with Aspen and she's like, I love that idea. Like, she loves her Nova Scotia family, loves them so much. Bennett has been out there once, but he was just over a year, so he doesn't really remember, but he talks to his papa all the time, his grampy, and he knows who they are and whatnot, and he'd have a sister with him, and I just think that'd be a really nice, like, balance for everybody. But in talking about travel destinations, like, we don't have anything planned, nothing in mind, but we discovered a new show on Netflix. It's fantastic. First of all, we just finished Jane the Virgin. Highly recommend. Highly, highly recommend. It is so good. Such a good show. We're a little late to the game, but my God, we whipped through that in no time. For my inner corner, I'm going to use this shade right here that's called Sand, and I'm going to apply it with this brush from What's Up Beauty. This is the R101. So we discovered, okay, I had to bring it up because I can never remember the name of it. The World's Most Amazing Vacation Rentals. It's so good. So it's like, it's a travel show, but I really like the way that they have set it up. So every episode they talk about, or they spotlight a luxury place, a unique place, and then a budget-friendly place. So the first episode, all 3 of the vacation rentals are in Bali. And then after that, there's like a theme. So like one theme was tree houses, but then they're all in different areas, which I think is also really cool. But I love the way, there's 3 hosts. I love the way they like interact with each other. Like, you can tell that they are actually friends, and there's no like competitive side to it. There's no like, the guy who normally does all the luxury rentals, like, he's not snobby about the budget ones or anything of that. There's some really interesting places that they show. And I like had my little notebook and I was writing places down, like basically creating a bucket list for us as we watched. There's only 8 episodes, but I highly, highly recommend checking out the show because it's just so, so cool. The places that they show, like one of them is this like luxury underground cave, and it's just the coolest thing. And then they did one where they were somewhere in Mexico, and you go and you actually like get to learn from the host how to prepare certain Mexican dishes. And I'm like, we need to go. That sounds amazing. And there's just like, it's really, really cool. I highly recommend. Okay. I love that like deep copper shade. I really love it. I will say the metallics in here definitely stand to have some setting spray to like help them along. But once you do that, it's pretty. It's pretty. Okay, I'm not as disappointed with this palette as I was when I first looked at it. So continue playing with it. There's definitely some gorgeous shades in there. The Supreme Nudes palette, let me grab that one. So Nudes is on the top and Bronze is on the bottom. I don't think you need both. I truly don't. But I like them. I like them both. I think they would work well together as well. But I definitely don't think you need both. Okay, I'm going to do liner and mascara off camera. We'll come back, do lips, wrap this baby up. All right, there we go. So for my upper lashes, I used the Tom Ford Eye Definer pen. For my lower lash line, I used this one here from Cheekbone Beauty. This is their Sustain Eyes liner in Cedar Brown. And then for mascara, should it come as any surprise, Bite Beauty Upswing Mascara for the win. Now, lips, we've got these two items here from Lisa Eldridge. So I'm going to go in with the lipstick. I was going to use a liner, but I'm not going to, just so you can see how it actually applies. So again, this is Kitten Mischief. It's almost got like a peachiness to it, but it's a really, really pretty nude. So there is Kitten Mischief. And then I'm going to go in and top it with the gloss here in the shade Affair. And I like, it kind of reminds me of the Fenty Doe Foot from their liquid lipsticks. Not quite as bulbous, I guess. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but the Doe Foot kind of reminds me of that. And that's a really pretty nude as well. I'll just put some on the back of my hand just so you can see what it looks like without the lipstick underneath it. But I find that they're very complementary to each other. All right, so there we go. That is me getting ready and a little bit of an update on what's going on in my horribly uneventful life. I'd love to know what's something new going on in your life, something you're excited about, something you're stressed about, whatever you want to share. Also, if you have any Netflix recommendations or Disney Plus, please let me know. We like a huge gamut of different types. So the travel ones, cooking shows, murder mysteries, whatever, basically anything that you guys find entertaining, let me know, because we are now on the hunt for a new show. We were going to start Loki, but I like to be able to binge things, and there's only 2 episodes up right now, so I'm going to wait until they've got their full season up, and then we will go hard on that. But in the meantime, we've got nothing to watch, so hit me up with some recommendations. All right, that is it. I'm going to wrap the video up here. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next one. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.